Yeah, you bet. Hey, welcome everyone to another edition of the Sports Guys Iowa Pick'em Podcast. I'm Brandon Leonard. I'm here with Jordan Cole and JD John Gunderson, and we're just going to dive right into Week 6 games, fellas. Week 5 was another one for the books. There was a few big matchups and some games we didn't think were going to kind of go the way they did. So a bit of a surprise. Well, I guess it's funny I say that. And Jay, hate to give some spoilers. Jordan went 7-1 last week. Is that right, JD?
7-1. 7-1.
That's gotta be
the eighth game is the only one he didn't hit for the 8-game parlay.
Yeah, would have been able to pay off the house a little bit sooner.
Nevertheless, still 7-1. That's got to be some sort of SGI record. So nice work on that, Jay.
Appreciate it.
Without further ado, we're gonna dive right into things. We're getting closer to playoff season, and I believe we've officially hit the midway point for both D3 and NAIA as well. So we'll go down the board and we'll see what we can do here, fellas. We'll see if we can get an 8-0 winner.
Sounds great.
Yeah, ready for it.
You bet. So top of the line, we're gonna go with the cream of the crop in Division 3 for our SGI rankings. The Wartburg Knights are hosting the University of Dubuque. Looking at -18 for the line for the Knights. They're the home team. I'll just go ahead. I'll kick it off. I think they're going to keep this train rolling. They've really found their stride lately. University of Dubuque did get a win last week. They played Nebraska Wesleyan. It was only just a 2-possession game. I know Wartburg didn't exactly lay the lumber to Luther by any means. But I still think 18 is an attainable number for the Knights. I'm going to go with them. JD, what do you think?
Yeah, Ghost, I agree with you. I think Wartburg is rolling. I mean, seems like every week we do this, Wartburg is, of the Iowa D3 teams, they're sort of like the Dodgers and the Yankees. I mean, we want them to lose, but the Sons of Guns never lose, right? They're the kings of Division 3. And I think they're on a roll. I think they're going to go far, potentially in the NCAA playoffs. I don't want to jinx them, but I think they're going to whip up on the Spartans and cover.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I got Wartburg here covering the number. Just looking at how Wartburg got where they've gotten, they have good stout defense and a pretty good run game. So Dubuque, they rely pretty heavily on their passing game with about 285 through the air. So I think Wartburg's going to be their first real test and shut that down, and I think they'll easily cover this number.
For sure. No, it's definitely reachable, like we all say. So agreeing on the board or across the board with the Knights. So we're going to go down to another Division 3 game in the ARC. The Cohawks making the trip from Cedar Rapids down to Indianola to play the Storm of Simpson. Co's 18-point favorites. JD, you want to start this one?
Yeah, I think Simpson's coming off the bye, and I really struggled on this one. Co really needs to score and score big in order to stay in the D3 playoff race. I'm just going to go on a hunch and say Co is going to come out and cover and win this game going away by about 24. But Simpson's a quality team, so I would not be surprised to see them win.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you here, JD. I'm going to take Simpson to cover the number. I think I saw his parents' weekend. Maybe I was looking at a different game, but I think it's just going to be a tough test for the passing attack, similar, like I just said, with the Wartburg game. It's just Simpson's a pretty stout opponent, and we've kind of seen them really step up this year, and I just think 18 might be too much here, so I'll take Simpson to cover.
I'm right there with you, Jordan. I'm going to agree with you. I think 18 is too big of a number for our Cohawks to cover. Simpson, we talked about this a few weeks ago, JD. We watched a lot of that Simpson and Wartburg game, and Simpson was in it the whole time. There was no doubt about it that they could punch up a class. This is a chance for them to, right now, we view things as Wartburg, Central, Co, Simpson. This is Simpson's chance to bust into that upper echelon, into that top three. Will they do it? Win outright? I don't know. But I know for a fact they are going to give Co all they can handle and then some. So I like the Storm covering 18 here for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds solid.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, let's keep this train rolling. We're going to go down to an NAIA matchup next. This is another game where historically, we talked about this, and oddly enough, it's with Northwestern. Northwestern beat up on Dordt for 2 decades.
Yep.
And they've done the same thing to Briar Cliff for 2 decades. In fact, it's even longer. I believe I wrote this week that the winning streak's up to 22 and 0 for Northwestern over the Cliff. They're going to Briar Cliff. They're 30.5-point favorites. This one's just got my brain in a pretzel. So I'm going to defer to you quick, Jordan. I want to see what you have to say. What do you think about this game?
Well, just Northwestern dropping 2 really tough games these last 1-point losses their last 2.
Right.
Typically I'd say this is kind of a get right spot for them, and like you kind of touched on their history with Briar Cliff, they're just beating up on little brother, but Northwestern also has Morningside on deck, so it might be a little bit of a kind of, pull the reins back on the horse here. So I can't quit this Briar Cliff team. I keep picking them, and I'm going to do it again this week. Keep it within the number.
No, that's something that I think I'm going to go with as well. I mean, I'm kind of just looking over here at their schedule. I mean, Briar Cliff's coming off a big loss as well, so they're going to be sour grapes that happened. They're Western beating up on them. I think if there was ever a year for Briar Cliff to take them down, this is going to be the year to do it. I've got them ahead of them in the rankings. I feel like I'd be a hypocrite to pick against Briar Cliff to cover, especially 30.5 points. I'm excited to see how this one pans out. It's like you said, potential for a get right game for Northwestern, but I don't even know if you can call it a get right game the way they've been playing in Briar Cliff's for too. So, with that being said, that's just a lot of words for me to say. I'm taking Briar Cliff.
Yeah, guys, I would say Northwestern. I wrote a column today about the teams that are most surprising up and down, and I mean Northwestern was sitting 5 or 6 preseason. I mean they were in the Natty title game 2 years ago, and 3 years ago they won the whole darn thing. I mean they're a incredible program. The fact that they're 2-3 is flat out shocking. And they haven't been scoring a lot of points, guys. I mean, last week they lost 10-9, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't think Briar Cliff will win, but I don't know if Northwestern can cover 30. So I'm taking the Chargers also. And I think there's panic in Orange City because they got Morningside and they've got Concordia left. They might actually lose 5 games this year, which would be stunning. And so the Red Raiders better get going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, we're gonna pivot from there. We're gonna go to I believe it's the Red Hawks. Jake Marshall, the head coach up there, would probably smack me upside the head if I got that wrong. Ripon at Cornell, taking on the Rams. We got -2 for Ripon. Man, just kind of peeking at the box score and everything like that. I mean, Cornell had kind of a rock fight last week with Beloit. I mean, they were the big line, and shoot, there was a 1-possession game. Ripon themselves got shut out by Lake Forest College over there in the Midwest Conference. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go with the Rams in this one to cover, and I honestly like them to win outright. I think just given the nod to them being the home team, I like that. I don't like that Ripon's got to make the trek down, and I think the Rams are buying what Coach Ritchie's selling down there. We all know I'm a big fan of him, and I think they're going to continue the winning ways. Whether it be ugly or not, I think they're going to keep covering and winning this game. What do you think, JD?
Being somebody who spent time in Ripon, Wisconsin, growing up there, kind of a town in the Horicon Marsh. I mean, you got to want to get to Ripon. They handled Grinnell very handily earlier this year in kind of a surprise. So I struggled with this game, but I'm with you, Ghost. I think Cornell's going to win by 3. Think it's going to be close, but I think the fact that it's at Mount Vernon makes me pick the Rams.
Yeah, like your thought process on that. I just, I think I keep ripping on Cornell quite a bit this year. I just not a big fan of the Rams after what I saw
Yep.
week 0 against Co. So can't shake that. I think the Red Hawks win by more than a field goal here. They're going to cover.
Okay.
All righty. I like that. We'll just keep on going. We're going to pivot from D3 to Iowa's favorite Division II team, the Upper Iowa Peacocks. They're making the trip down to, I believe is it Kirksville?
Kirksville, yeah.
And they got a good flea market down there, don't they, JD?
Yeah, they do.
I think so. I remember my Uncle Shane used to bring back glass bottles of Pepsi from Kirksville. So anyway, we're going to take a look at that game. Truman State, the home team, they're 10.5-point favorites. Now this podcast has been all over Upper Iowa this year. We love our Peacocks. I'll just start with this one, and I'm going to say 10.5 is too much. I was checking out Truman State. They played Must before Upper Iowa did. Now Truman State ran it up on them, but I want to say if I remember correctly, they scored 35 points in 13 minutes. They had a pick 6 right before half to just completely take the wind out of Must's sails. I just don't think that the talent gap is what this line's showing in the Massey ratings. So I'm going to go with the Peacocks covering, and, the Iowa in me is going to say they're going to win too.
Awesome.
What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I agree. Both these teams, pretty high scoring. I expect a high scoring game. I think both these teams respectively average roughly 30 a game. So with, if both offenses are kind of ripping at full speed, I think it could easily be within 10. So, of course, give me the Peacocks here.
Yeah, guys, I did the same thing you did. I kind of went in a deep dive because I was like, well, Truman State, how much do I know about them? I was diving in, and, I really think that Upper Iowa is going to cover. And, the Truman Show is not going to be a win. So I actually think they're going to cover. And if I had to bet the money line, I would bet the Peacocks to win.
Yeah, a lot of value there. We're using our head, and shout out to Damon Head, Valley Tiger alum. He had a huge day against Must. He went for 111 and 4 touchdowns for the redshirt freshman. So
wow,
we're using our heads. We're using our heads, Mr. Head. We're going to go down to our 6th game here. We're going to pivot back to Division III. The Norse and Luther. Scott Dunn getting their last L served up by, but hopefully for their sake, the foreseeable future. A lot of opinions on that we talked about on Twitter, JD. But the Norse, they're gonna take the long haul over to Storm Lake. They're gonna play the Buena Vista Beavers. The line's 20.5. The Beavers are the favorite. Jay, I got to give a tip of the cap because you said last week on the pod, can Co get off the mat early after taking that loss to Wartburg, and BV hung tight with them for a lot longer than I personally thought they would.
Yep.
We'll let you go ahead and we'll start off by letting us know what you think about this game here. 20.5. Remember,
I crossed my pick off 4 times. I went back and forth Luther, Buena Vista. I just said that Luther needs to get one, and with Cohen Simpson on deck, it's a great spot to show some fight. So I'm gonna plug my nose here, and I'm gonna take the Norse to cover the 20.5.
JD, what do you think, sir?
I think Buena Vista is gonna win, but I was really in the J. Cole camp, right? I was thinking, hey, Luther showed more fight than I thought last week against Wartburg and kept it a lot closer than I anticipated. So I think they're going to cover. Not going to win, but I think they're going to show some fight.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's you look at some of their scores, and they gave Wartburg about all they could possibly give. Same thing
Yep.
with Central. Nebraska Wesley was a bit of an odd one, which on paper was probably a gettable game for the North. So that's tough for them to have that happen. I think they can keep it within 20.5 against Buena Vista. I don't have a whole lot back in it other than I think they know that this is one of the few games that they really can realistically win. So they're going to keep it within the number. I like the Beavers still win, but let's go with the Norse. Staying
Yeah.
within 20.5.
Yeah, I think this game, and I don't think they've played Loris yet. It's probably their two
Mhm.
best chances. So
I think they
Yeah,
end the season with Loris.
yeah,
in the season with Loris. Yeah, looking down. Yeah, Luther ends with U. Or they're with UD on the 8th of November. Yeah, last game's at Loris. So, yeah, they're not gonna give up. They're not gonna roll over. So,
Yep.
next one we got the longest haul of the week award.
yeah.
Drake Bulldogs heading out to the left coast. They're going to take on San Diego. Now, this line is 3.5. Now, this is a Massey rating, correct, JD?
Yeah, it is.
Yep,
It
yep.
is.
Okay. I'm interested to see. I wonder if they got the actual lines up on, Vegas got that on FanDuel. Jay, would you
pop
mind
on
pulling that up here
Saturday.
quick? It should come out on Saturday. Okay.
Yeah, usually the FCS or yeah.
Sure.
I'll double check though.
Yeah, for sure. But so Drake's 3.5 point favorites. They're coming off a big win over Valpo, the spelling bee champions of the world. I kind of like the Bulldogs to cover. I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about San Diego, but just from what I've seen of Drake, Spellman got a little bit of tick last week. Got to shake some cobwebs. I'm expecting him to come back, keep coming back stronger. As long as the ailments that he had are not too bad. I like Drake 3.5. JD, what do you think?
Well, this is a fun game because I think San Diego is the Toreadors, if I'm not mistaken,
I can confirm that in a second.
which I think is probably the only Toreador mascot in college football. San Diego's a great place. Been to Comic-Con a couple times there. Obviously, as you guys would expect, I did wear my James T. Kirk Star Trek uniform while I was there, just for those of you that were wondering. Great place. But, man, I love listening to the Drake podcast with Coach Woodley. And, man, they're just locked in. I just feel like they're going to go down, take care of business. I think he's a great coach. I think he's got Drake already rolling. I think they're going to cover.
Yeah, Ghost, you said you didn't know much about San Diego. You're not missing much. I believe it or not, I bet on this team last week.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
minus 12.5 against Marist. I bought my monthly ESPN Plus just to watch it, and good God, I quit that app so quickly. But so yeah, I will never. They made the list. I will never be betting the Toreadors ever again. It's Bulldogs or nothing here for me.
I love that, Jay. I appreciate you chiming in with that. Just a few things, fellas. I was checking FanDuel. I can't find the line yet, so yeah, we'll have to circle back on Saturday to see what that actual line is. JD, I did double check the mascot. It's the Toreros.
Toreros. I'm sorry.
Diego Torero is the name of their mascot. Similar to the Toreador like we got up there in Boone, a personal favorite mascot that I love up there in Boone. So we'd have to see how many Toreros are there. I can't imagine there's more than two. It's got to be one, but something we could dive into for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim Harbaugh used to coach there, guys. I don't know if you know that or not. His college career.
Yeah. Absolutely, they're going to need Harbaugh, and God, they better hope are the Chargers on bye this week, and he slip over and what's his name, Connor Stallions, maybe steal some signs.
Yeah,
they're going to need it to beat these Bulldogs.
Back.
Yeah, Phil Rivers, gosh, I think he's got his own high school team, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Amongst a gaggle of kids, but we're humming right along, fellas. We're already down to our last game that we're going to pick this week, and it's going to be the Pioneers of Grinnell. Traveling over to Knox, hopping the border, going into Illinois, taking on Knox. 10.5 for the Pioneers. Jay, you want to start us off with this one, fella?
Sure thing. Just looking at both these teams, they're both struggling this year. So I'm going to say the Pioneers of Grinnell. They're going to cruise on over to Galesburg, Illinois, and they're going to extinguish the prairie fire of Knox football.
Prairie Fire. All right. I love that.
I like
Love
that
that.
too. I can go next. Yeah, I mean, man, looking at this, the fire I think is extinguished, fellas. Uh, Knox got whooped up on by Jay Berwanger U, the University of Chicago. Lost 52-0 last week. They did beat Beloit 16-14.
Ooh.
Man, Ripon beat them by 43. They lost to
Ooh.
Eureka the first game. This team just obviously has got nothing going on offense. I think Grinnell's got enough in the tank to cover 10.5. So I'm going to go with the Powashik County Pioneers as well.
Yeah, guys, that's actually what I picked. At first, when I was researching this team, I thought it was Fort Knox, right? And didn't realize it was Illinois. I don't know if you guys recall, but 6, 7 months ago, I thought President Trump was going to find out if there was actually gold in Fort Knox. I never heard a report on that, whether they found gold in there, if it all had been moved away. But Knox is not a very good team, and the Midwest Conference is really weak at the bottom. I think if Grinnell's going to get their second win of the year, this is it. So I'm taking the Pioneers.
Yeah, everyone gets into the Knox end zone, and I think Brent Barnes' team's going to do that this weekend. So that's going to wrap things up, fellas, as far as the lines go. We do have a few other games that are going on in the state of Iowa that we do want to acknowledge. Loris is at Nebraska Wesleyan taking on the Prairie Wolves. They're 3.5-point favorites, or actually, excuse me, 3-point favorites based on the Hanson ratings. Dort's 47.5-point favorites going up to Treetown, take on the Waldorf Warriors. I don't think that's enough. I just on the surface and
Those guys
Morningside's
are on fire, man. The defenders, wow.
Morningside, they're going to go up to Mitchell, take on DWU, Dakota Wesleyan. Might be better off just checking out the Corn Palace there. I think Morningside's going to roll as well. The following teams, gosh, more than a quarter of the teams that we cover. Central Clark, St. Ambrose, Billy P, Graceland, Grandview, all on buys this week. I think there's some of those teams in there that could really use a buy. William Penn they've had a tough start to the schedule as far as they beat up on 2 ranked teams, got 2 big ranked wins, and then the Vikings happened. Johnny Argo was one radical SOB a la Johnny Utah from Point Break, and that Grandview defense went wild on William Penn in the big win there. So yeah, I guess the only other shout out we said, shout out to the Hanson ratings, shout out to the Massey ratings for FCS, D2, and NAIA lanes. So, fellas, any parting words?
Yeah, I still can't get over the fact that Jordan was 7-8, 7-1 last week. I think that's impressive. We're getting into the big season, and we're starting to do columns on who we think's going to rise and fall. And Ghost, I think we've got 4, maybe 5 teams that are going to make NAIA playoffs. I think it's reasonable to think 2 teams from the ARC to make the playoffs. Upper Iowa's still in the game for D2. They've never made the playoffs. And I think Drake has a real shot of winning the Pioneer League. So we could have possibly 8 teams playing on past week 10 and week 11. That would be awesome. That would be a record, I think, for teams in Iowa. So